And the 5 elements is actually a Taoist theory back in Chinese medicine. And what happens, 5 elements comes about from observing the nature, okay? Observing how nature works. So we have 5 elements of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, okay? So these 5 elements, it's observed through nature, through time. And these 5 elements also is what we have within us. Our microcosmic type is what's within us. So what happens is wood in nature. When you have wood and wood together, what happens? Fire. It turns into fire. And what happens when fire burns? It turns into ash, right? It goes back into the earth. And when you dig deep into the earth, you find metal. And metal, when it melts, it turns into water. And when you have water, you have a seed in water, it sprouts, and you go back into wood. So this is the circle of life. And this is how Taoists observe nature. And this is how we observe how we live, how we eat. So a lot of times you want to eat according to the season. So this lecture is really about, getting your body in tune with yourself and also eating in tune with the nature. And if you eat accordingly to how your body naturally wants to eat, what your body naturally needs, you'll reach your ideal weight, your ideal health, your inner well-being. So we're going to talk about today about different elements that each one of you guys have inside of you, okay? And we'll talk about different elements, and we'll talk about different elements that foods that you could incorporate. You could eat more, you could emphasize more. That's good for your body, your constitution. And then we'll talk about exercises, or things that you could do to help with your own individual elements. Of course, not everybody is a perfect wood type, a perfect fire, earth, anything. Everybody's always a mixture of something, right? But this is just kind of see, okay, majority of the time I look more like this type of person. Okay, and these are the things I could do to help myself. Okay, any questions so far? So let's go into these elements. So the first element we're going to talk about is the wood type. So wood personalities, their facial structure tends to be more angular, rectangular, angular, and muscular. Okay? Can you read this? Can you see this? And they tend to have more of an olive complexion. And wood type is your typical type A personality. Go-getter. Okay? They're highly motivated, strong personality, and high energy, very confident. Very, very confident. And they're also very smart, intellectual, very decisive. And they tend to be they like competition. They like to kind of be the top of everything. They want to win everything. And they tend to spread themselves too thin sometimes. They have so many ideas, they want to do it all, and they want to be perfect at all these things, and they spread themselves too thin. So I forget to mention to you that with each element, you have a gift, these are gifts that you possess, right? And then you have things that are, if you do too much of it, it's not too good, okay? So things that they're prone to being too stubborn, okay? These are kind of like the pitfalls of people who have strong wood type, okay? So they're prone to stubbornness and sometimes overbearing and controlling, okay? So sometimes when they get very witty, sometimes we call people, they're very witty. And actually, this personality correlates, I don't know if you hear your acupuncturist saying, oh, your pulse is very wiry today, or it's very livery, because liver is connected to the element of wood. So your pulse wiry, it feels like a guitar string. So you're constantly kind of like, okay, what's next? I'm determined, I'm going there, So you have to watch out not to be so stubborn and overbearing and controlling. Remember to relax a little bit, okay? So they're susceptible to disorders of the liver, cardiovascular diseases, nervous system, because they tend to get nervous a lot sometimes, headaches, okay, because of tension. Imagine everything just constricted, right? So tension. They have headaches, eye disorders, nerve pain, neck pain, shoulder tension, because imagine just tensing up all the time. And they also sometimes get to have acid reflux sometimes, okay, and high blood pressure. Any questions on this? Does it remind you of anybody, or maybe even sometimes a little bit of yourself? I know I have definitely some wood in there. And it's good. There's no good or bad in these elements. You know, these are your strengths, and then we have our weaknesses. Okay? So you really want to, build on your strength and also pay attention to your weaknesses.